Hi everyone, Terri is here with Watersong Creek Creations. Welcome to another video. Today we are working on Christmas in July. One of the shops where I sell is having a Christmas in July event next week, and I'm getting things made up for that. And so I'd like to bring you along and show you what I'm working on and hopefully inspire you for some ideas for your own creations. So let's go over and see what we've got going. So the first thing we're going to be working with today is our substrates, and this one is pallet wood that my wonderful husband has put together, cut up, we've painted, and ready to go. These are rustic. You can see it's got the holes in them from where the nails were, and we just go with that. We like that look. So this is going to be our base. And from there, we are going to be using old jewelry. I strongly suggest you go to thrift stores, garage sales, even eBay, and look for old jewelry that you can take apart. These were all earrings, actually, that I bought in bulk from someone at a garage sale. And we just took all of the hardware, the little ear wire and everything off. So we've just got mass quantities of all kinds of fun jewelry to work with. And I am using the Dollar Tree beads. You can get these at Michael's, Hobby Lobby, Joann's. But they're just the little flat beads that are flat on one side. I've got an array of blues and frosted whites. And then these are these washers? I think they're called washers. I should have checked that out before I started the video. Anyway, my friend and I a couple of years ago decorated these to make necklaces for them, and I had a bunch left over, so we're going to be utilizing those as well. And our goal is to make some unique Christmas trees today. So let me get set up and I'll show you what we're going to do. Okay, so I have measured out some glass beads, and I'm going to start by just dumping a number of them onto the board and making sure they're all flipped over so the flat piece is down. This is a really easy one to do. Yeah, there's a broken piece, but I think I'll leave it in there. Okay, I'll put it aside for the moment. All right, I'm going to just take a bit of these and scoop them away, because what I want to do is lay out my design first. And I know already that these frosted glass pieces are going to disappear when I put the resin on, so I don't want a lot of them clustered together or the piece will just disappear. So I want to just zhuzh it together here into the shape of a Christmas tree. And I went through all the jewelry and picked out what I thought would be a good piece for the top and a good piece for the bottom. Look at this wonderful little coil corkscrew type piece that was it part of an earring. Isn't that just perfect for the bottom? There we go. And I'm going to layer over top so that it's 3D dimensional. And I'll cover that up. And then for the top, I found this teardrop that I thought would be really pretty. We do the point there. And there you go. We have our base. And I'm going to add these extra pieces to finish out the shape like I want it. But also, it doesn't have to be perfect by any means. I don't like too many of the same thing in a row, though. And then I want to start layering and 3D'ing so that it's got depth and dimension, because that's just going to give it a lot of interest. Whoops. I do want one kind of covering up the tip of the base. And the lovely thing about resin is, as when I pour it, it's going to seep down and fill in between all of, I don't like that. I'm not a fan of that broken piece. I thought it could work, but no. I've lost the shape that I had, that I liked. Should probably be picking these pieces up with tweezers so I'm not letting my fat fingers push all the other pieces around. So I just want to fill in spaces that are a little thin. I have a whole lot of that 3D effect. And I could put some little, wrong cup. I could put some various color ornaments. To be honest, I've got a few packages of Dollar Tree beads that are various colors that I could use. Now we'll get the tweezers. That I could use to give it some variety of color, but I really like, looks like 2 or 3 colors of blue here, and I just like the look of that, so I'm going to leave it. I think that looks pretty good. All right, I'm looking at this angled upward, so I'm just going to move this off the board and look at it straight down for a second, because you'll see things differently. I see a few holes that I want to fix looking at it straight down that I don't see from an angle. Like right there. Now what I should have done probably was just painted a blue triangle behind this that would fill in any of those white spots, but I didn't, and I'm not going to go back and undo this. My tweezers aren't big enough to hold these big pieces in that. There we go. Let me take another quick peek. That's better. Oh, that's perfect, actually. I like that very, very much. So when I mix up the resin here in a minute and pour it, it's going to run down off of these higher pieces and seal the lower pieces so that everything will be very secure once it's all poured and finished. So that's that one. I'm going to put you on hold for a second and set up for the other tree we're going to do. Be right back. Okay, back again, this time with the washers. And I did check, and yes, they are called washers. So, when I did an original layout, preliminary layout, I had this is the base and this is the star or the top. And I still like that for the top. But this seemed a little thin because once I pile all of these up, they look pretty thick and this looked pretty thin. I don't know if this is going to work or not. I do have this little hole in the board to contend with that I'm not crazy about, so I'm going to try to cover it up. and I could cover it up easier using this. So I'm going to play with it for a hot minute and see how it shakes out. Again, these I'm going to layer, and I'll just start out randomly making shapes. I do not want too many just alike right next to each other. So they'll come down this way and then fill in. That's coming out too fast, so let's move it in a little bit. And I did use all of these. So, yeah, those are identical. Ooh, that's pretty. But I'm not sure if I'm going to get this to lay. Let's put one there and kind of build it up and see how that looks. It's too similar. I like the gold pieces because these have a lot of gold in them. Oh, that's gorgeous. Yeah. Trying to put it away from anything that's really similar. There we go. Now we can start building up. So that's got kind of a fun 3D effect. This is covered, maybe. I wish I just had a couple more. Let's see, those are already doubled up. Just wanted to fill in here a little bit. Maybe I do want to go with this. This is less trouble, but it really doesn't look like it would support such a big heavy. It just, to me, doesn't go with the flow of what I've got going on here. I don't know. Let me look at it straight down and see what I think. Well, that's not terrible. It's kind of fun. I think I'm going to go with it. I'm going to cover up that little hole right there and that little hole right there. And then take another peek. Oh yeah, that's filled in nice. I like that. And just bring that down a tad more. Have as much of that showing as possible without the tip showing. And I like that up there. So, you know what comes next. I'm going to mix up some of my trusty ProGlas 1000 clear coat resin. This is a 1-to-1 ratio. Mix it for 3.5 minutes. I always put it in a warm water bath. Let the resin sit in the warm water bath for about 2 minutes before I start stirring to cut down on the bubbles. This is the only resin I use, and I strongly suggest you give it a try. It's fabulous. And I'll get some resin mixed up and we'll start pouring. See you in a minute. I mixed up about 6 ounces of my ProGlas 1000 tabletop resin to cover these. As I've said before, I always keep some molds by my workstation if I have any leftover. And I've learned that it's better to have an ounce or two left over than stop and mix up more. So as I mentioned before, I start at the highest point and cover with resin because it's going to seep down to the layers underneath and get everything adhered to the board. And then I just let that run off and smooth it out to the edges of the board. That way I'm not wasting resin by starting on the outside and working my way in and up. I'm going to have a lot of resin dripping off onto my tray, which is just a waste. We don't want that. I decided to put some crushed glass on this blue tree just to give it some added dimension and sparkle. On the tree, the washer tree that I'm working on here, I decided to add gold leaf. There was so much gold in the piece that I thought the gold leaf would be a nice effect. And it really did turn out nice. I'm glad I did that. The piece was a little plain without it, so that was a nice touch. And I could have done gold leaf on the blue one. I just thought the silver and the blue looked pretty together. And side by side, it was a nice contrast. You don't need a lot of gold leaf, and you just take your toothpick and grab a piece and work it. It breaks up real nice and comes around to making nice little pieces that are just enough. It's almost like gold snowflakes falling. So here are the finished art pieces. I couldn't be more thrilled with the way they turned out. I love the layering effect that I did. It gives them such dimension. The crushed glass looks so pretty with that blue. And then the variety of scrapbook paper on these washers, it just gives it so much depth and interest. The visual interest here is incredible with all the different textures. The gold leaf was a great touch. It really added, it just was enough to set the piece off. I hope this has inspired you to start thinking about your own Christmas decorations, and I'd love to see what you're making.